Hey, what's up? Hello. How are you, Brandy? Just waiting for people to come in. Hello. Waiting for some more people to come in. What's up? Hey, my Dee Dee. Hey, Santrina. How's everybody doing tonight? Hey, Mika. How y'all doing? Talk to me in the chat. So glad y'all are joining and coming on for tonight's Lady Night Girl Chat. Hope y'all ready to get into this. It's going to be a good conversation. It's going to be a healthy conversation. It's going to be a liberating conversation. It's going to be great information, and I want y'all to talk back. I want this to be interactive. It's not like a lecture. It's not like, I have this Easter speech that I'm just going to be the only one talking. We want you guys to interact and want everyone to feel comfortable. Somebody said very late. Some people go to sleep even in the summer at 7 p.m. It's still light outside. Hey, Joy. Welcome. Glad you could join us. Could join me and my special guest tonight. So I'm so excited, and a lot of you have probably seen my post, my Just Married Mondays post. And so just a really quick spiel about how that came about. The Lord had given that to me maybe 2 years ago. So like the end of 2020, had actually given it to me, and I shared it with my husband at the time, and we were gonna, do a podcast. Hey, Francesca. We were gonna do a podcast. We were gonna do some lives like I'm doing tonight. And we just were praying and just gonna see what the Lord was gonna do with it. And so things happened and we separated, but the Lord was still burdening me with putting this into the earth. And obviously that was quite a bit of a challenge, because the essence and the purpose of this is to encourage married couples, is to talk about experiences that I personally had, or, that other couples were having. But it was just supposed to be a source of encouragement and information for married couples, for singles as well, but for those who were newly married, and to just kind of dispel some of the myths and some of the assumptions that people had about marriage in your first few years, and things that people had said to us that were gonna happen. It was gonna be difficult, or things that people said, it'll be easy. But we just wanted to speak from a personal perspective. And so when things begin to happen, hey Candace, hey Donovan, when things begin to happen, I immediately put this concept on a back burner. But the Lord was continuing to impress upon me the need for these types of conversations and the need for this type of content to be put into the earth and to be talked about, because people need to see the truth. People need to see that marriage does not have to be hard, that marriage can be fun, that marriage is purposeful, and that two whole people can come together and have a happy life. And two people who are in ministry together, coming from different backgrounds or different places, can come together and can have a meaningful, healthy, happy relationship. It does not have to be hard. So anybody that's like, it's an either or, we praying towards it. We praying for them to be enlightened, because that's not going to be my testimony, and I pray that that's not the testimony for any of you all who are watching, who are married, and those who desire to be married. I pray that will not be your testimony either. So Just Married Mondays, is, again, posts that I put out on Mondays. Sometimes it is, Holy Spirit leading me. A lot of times I find posts and content that other people have shared on their pages, and I'll put it in my stories. But I just want to bring encouragement, bring some humor and some comedy sometimes to the post, but simply to just encourage someone who's married. Just encourage you that you can be happy and healthy in your marriage, and that God has a purpose for you individually and as well as collectively with your spouse. And that does not necessarily mean that you have to occupy a space or a position in a ministry. Your marriage is your ministry, and wherever you go is an opportunity for that love to be displayed, whether you're at a baseball game, whether you're at, your kids' soccer game, wherever you are is an opportunity for love to be put on display. So tonight I have a special guest, and what we're going to be talking about tonight is women, us as women, our worth, and our relationships, how those all join together, how those all, combine or collide in life, and then subsequently women in ministry and how that affects their relationships and can affect their marriage. And so my guest that's coming on, she's from New York. She has written a book. It's called The Real Life of a Church Girl, The Untold Story. And we're going to let her talk about her book when she comes on. And she has a wonderful story to tell as well about her own personal life in ministry, growing up in church, straying away from God, expectations unmet, and you feel like you're doing what's right, you feel like you're doing what God wants you to do, and life sucks, life is whack, and you're like, I got questions, I have questions, Lord. I think I might have somebody in the chat who has some questions at one point in time, because that's definitely been me. And you'll have those periodically from time to time. So, hey, what's up, Chris? Thanks for joining. So I'm going to bring my guest on, and we're going to get this going. If you're married in the chat, put a ring in the chat if you're married. Hey, Tamika.
Hey, girl.
Welcome. Just Married Mondays. Hey. Everybody say what's up to Tamika. This is my special guest. I'm so excited to have her here. Hey, everyone that's joining the chat. So glad y'all are here tonight.
My people's coming in.
Come on, people. Come on, everyday people.
Yeah, my people's is coming in.
I see the rings in the chat. That's what's up. I see the rings. Okay. All right. Okay. Rings. He liked it. He put a ring on it. All right. Okay. So we are going to, hey, Lady Key. I see someone else just came in. Y'all came in real quick. I couldn't say hi to everybody. Rodney, hello.
They was waiting. They couldn't get in.
Oh, because they were waiting on your side.
They were waiting on my side.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome, y'all. Welcome. So glad that y'all are here and joining the chat. In the beginning of the conversation, just really quick, I'll let you all know that this conversation is a part of a series that I have on my page called Just Married Mondays. This post that I do every Monday. These posts are geared towards married couples, but singles, people who are widowed, people who are divorced. It's simply to encourage and uplift, to share truth, to share comedy around the concept or the idea of marriage or the conversation of marriage. And it's to dispel myths that we often hear in culture, in church culture, that marriage is going to be hard, that you're going to have to go through this, that, and the third. I'm not here to downplay, certain seasons of life that you go through, but I am here to say that two people who are intentional about loving one another, two people who know who they are, marriage does not have to be hard. It does not have to be the struggle. You don't have to be on the struggle bus. You don't have to go through, oh, dang, well, we had to go through the little rough patch. And, you know, I had to forgive her for this. And I had to forgive. It does not have to be that way. It's what you say it will be. And it's what you work towards it being. So Just Married Monday is simply post to encourage everyone who wants to be married, who is married, who is currently divorced, who maybe perhaps might be widowed, to not be closed off to love, but to be open to all of the possibilities that love has to offer. So with that being said, Tamika is here. Tell them a little bit about yourself.
I'm from New York. Like Lisa said, I'm from New York. I am a church girl.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Okay.
I would say I'm not your typical church girl, but I am a church girl indeed. I'm an author and a life coach. I'm a mama of 3. I'm a wife. I'm just an everyday woman, straight up. I go through my ups and my downs, very transparent, have gone through a lot. And I feel like God has taken me through all of this just to give out to women, to encourage women that no matter what season, no matter what journey, we can make it. Because I've made it through so much. Being in the church, being a church girl, born and raised, being preacher's kid, being the bishop and the pastor's niece, you know, still had to go through real life things. Yeah. And so it doesn't make a difference whether you're in the church, whether you're not, you know, life is life. Yeah. You know, true. Life is life. True. And you still have to go through hurdles. Everybody got to bear some type of cross. Yeah. You know? Yeah.
So you say you're a bona fide certified church girl. You grew up in the church. You grew up with, you know, family members that were in ministry. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, like I told you this week when we were talking, I had church. My church was in my house. It was in, like, where I lived at. Came downstairs. Church was there. You know. But before that happened, my grandmother, she was an elder. My mom's side of the family, most are pastors, bishops, elders, preachers, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled. That's how I grew up. Couldn't wear pants, couldn't wear jewelry, couldn't wear braids. Yeah, old school.
Could wear braids.
Couldn't wear braids. You know,
protective
things. Well, you gotta get the book. You gotta get the book because it tells everything in there. You know, that's old school. That the scripture that says your hair's not supposed to be braided, and you know, you're not supposed to have the jewelry on, and you're not supposed to look worldly. So, you know, when you don't have, when you lack knowledge and you don't understand and you just go tradition, that's what we are taught to do. And then along the way, you get caught up in that tradition and it doesn't match real life. Right. And it kind of messes you up. Right. And so in my journey, I had to come, because, you know, in church, there's so much rules and regulations, right? Some of the rules and regulations make no sense. Some of them are good. We need rules and regulations. We need order. True. But some are just driven by leadership.
It's personal preferences. This is your preference, and you're substituting that, acting as though it's a biblical principle. This is your preference.
And it messes the people up, because when you get into real world, you don't know how to act. You're scared of everything. You're scared of everything. Like everything you're scared of. You know, and you don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to. You don't want to go. You don't know what to do. You're so rigid, and you can't really live the life that God has called you to live. You can't do it because you don't know how to do it. Yeah. And that's what I had to go through my life. You know, I'm 46 now, and for a lot of my life, it was just like moving this way. But let me tell you, I was moving this way, doing everything the way I was supposed to. But when I say hell was happening, so in my mind, I'm like, I'm doing things the way I'm supposed to do. Why is hell happening?
You said, Lord, it's not giving. It's not giving the abundant life.
Right.
It's not giving. I got
Something
answers.
right. You know, and I have to
questions.
go and understand, like, you're going to go, especially as grown women, we're going to go through those things. And, you know, I was married young with my first husband. I was married young. I was a virgin when I got married.
Okay.
I had my children, and, you know, I had my children in my marriage.
So pause. Let's talk about high school.
High school,
Tamika. Your sense of self, if you even had a sense of self, what were your definers in high school?
So high school so high school, when I first got into high school, I happened to be living with my dad's side of the family, who are not churchgoers.
Okay.
So that first year of high school, it was like I'm living that type of life, right? Because for a little bit, I lived with my dad. They don't go to church. So, but then I had to go back to my mom's side of the family.
Okay.
And church in the house, long skirts. So now I went from wearing my pants and doing that life to going back to the church life. And I had to throw out all my pants. I had to, like, everything just stopped, literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that person had to, now she was judging everything. She was judging everything. So if I seen somebody who professed salvation or said that they were this and they didn't have on a long skirt, I'll be like, nah,
lies.
They're not really saved.
Lies.
They're not really saved.
Yeah.
You know, because what I was taught was so dogmatic. It was so, you know, this is what it is. So when I saw somebody that said, this is how I'm saved and I go to church, and I'd be like, what church you go to? You know, it's so judgmental. So judgmental. And,
so it was about external indicators.
But like I talk about in my book, that came, but then we were able to walk past each other and not speak in the home. We were able to have certain issues go on and not be dealt with. So everything was God, right? But on real life stuff and attitudes and mental, that was not touched.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of makes you like, what life am I living? Because I'm going from living with my mom, who was a church girl, but we was liberal in that house. She passed away at 11. I moved to the churchy house. Now it's really church. But just certain things were just not loving, never let anything happen to me, anything. But it was just so traditional. And you cannot, that's not real life. It's not real life. And when you go out in that real world, you don't know how to act.
So would you say?
So high school me was just very like, try to stay away from everything wrong that I thought was wrong. That's weird. No, I was the weird kid. I was the weird kid with the long skirts. Trying to be down with my 5411s, you know, Reeboks, every color, trying to be down. But my skirt was like to the floor.
Listen,
you know, it was like a weird time.
Huh? Going heavy. You missed
that. Jean skirt, and gym. I had jean skirts on in gym. I didn't have to even do gym because
I believe you, sis. I believe you. As cold as it is in New York, as cold as it is, the hawk in New York.
Hello.
My God, today.
Every day.
But so, you know, it's really, I think a lot of us can identify with that type of upbringing with those types of convictions that were essentially originated by man, or let me say it this way, they were absent of balance. They were absent of the character of Christ and the heart of Christ. And so here we are needing boundaries, yes, but because of man's lack of balance, lack of experience, and even their own personal experiences, they're now teaching Christ through the lenses of their life.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
But in all actuality, what I've come to realize that people were not practicing what they were preaching.
Well,
and that's where it gets tricky, because I found that everything, and I'm not saying everybody, I'm not making this a general statement, but from experiences, the women were made to wear a certain or look a certain way, right?
Seemingly.
Seemingly. But that's not who I would observe the men were even looking at.
Boop, bop, 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 bop.
They weren't even looking at those women.
Boop, bop.
Right?
What?
And so much stuff gets
we gonna get sidetracked.
Huh? What happened?
We're gonna get sidetracked real quick.
I'm sorry. But
no,
that was my experience.
But go ahead. So people were not.
They were like,
authentic.
do this. You got sat down really quick. Just made to feel so horrible for mistakes, because we all make mistakes, right? We all do things, and certain mistakes were just like man-made mistakes. They weren't really like sinful mistakes. They were just like not according to how that person wanted the church to go, or that person, it wasn't like, oh my God, you going to jail. It wasn't anything like that. But that's how you're made to feel. Everything is so like, oh,
heaven or hell.
And it's like, you're not as a teenager, you're not happy to live that type of life. You're not happy because it's like, this is jail. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. So it wasn't. Go ahead.
How would you say that affected your self-esteem, or did it have an impact on your self-esteem?
It did. I could give you a funny story. One day I lived in Queens and I went to school in Manhattan. And that's like an hour or something travel.
Okay.
And I was on a train. So this is like the first year that I'm back in Queens and I have to wear these long skirts. So I'm in high school. I'm trying to find every skirt I'm trying to be about something over here. Like gotta be cute a little bit. So I never forget, I'm walking and I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, I got this little outfit going on. I'm walking and I hear these ladies in the back of me. Ladies now, in the back of me like, where's she going with her little house in the prairie skirt? Ooh, my whole heart.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
It shattered me because, like, it wasn't bullying. I don't even know if they threw it. I heard them, but that kind of, after a while, started making me like, oh, God. Now it was like, now I'm really like, Lord, like, what is going on here? Like, what's really good? What's really good? So, but I was obedient. So never did I go home and say, I can't wear this. Never did any of that. Never did I do that. I just continued to do it until I got married and my oldest child was maybe 1. And then I went to the next extreme. The first pair of pants I put on was leather. Like I went from one extreme to like the next extreme. Like I got leather pants and cut all my hair off. Like one, you know what I'm saying? Like I went from one extreme to another extreme.
Yeah, and this is the danger in not teaching balanced principles to young ladies, because you don't have that. That compass, is broken. It's not there, and you feel that you've missed out on what's you've been prohibited from. You're peeking over the fence over into the world per se, and you feel that you've missed out on something, and so then you have no restraint in your freedom. You were always free, but now there's no restraint in your freedom, and you're going, out the world backwards per se, because you have no restraint and you have no what do you call it? No boundaries, you know, because those haven't been set. So what would you say, you know, what would you say today, being 46, if you were a youth leader, you know, in a ministry, and you had a group of young girls, what would you say is the most important principle to teach them now?
Definitely about self-worth, just knowing who they are. And I have a 15-year-old, and I've been a youth leader for years. You know, I have a 15-year-old, and the focus is not on the where. You know, you want the young people to have pride about themselves, not be conceited, but be confident. You know, and so it's all about that mind. You have to get to that mind. You know, because no matter what, you have a long skirt, have the flyest clothes, but if that mindset is not fixed and not healed and not strong, it doesn't matter what you're going to do. You know, and that was the issue. My mindset was all over the place. My mental was not good.
Yeah.
You know, my mental wasn't good. I didn't know who I was. I told even my daughter, know who you are. Be confident in who you are. You know who God has made you. You belong to God. You know, just know who you are, because when she goes out into that real world, I want her to be prepared, because I wasn't prepared. So when things came at me, I went with the first thing, because either I was running away from that thing. I was running away from it, so I wanted some type of stability that said, "Oh, I'll do this for you. I'll take care of you or whatever." But I wasn't experienced. I couldn't see. I couldn't see. I had nothing to. I couldn't see, like, you know, we're taught, get saved. You're saved, so you marry somebody saved, or you get with somebody saved, right? So I think that's the only prerequisite. It's not, make sure you're compatible.
Right.
Make sure they don't have mental health issues. Make sure they don't have drug issues. Make sure they have some money. You know, make sure they're good with money. Make sure they're not an abuser, mental, emotionally, financially. Make sure they love family. That's not what we're, but right. Make sure he's saved, because it's better to marry than to burn.
Was he suited and booted? Was he?
Yeah. Make sure, because it's better to marry than to burn. Or, you know, don't.
Wow.
That stuff is okay, but that other stuff is what you won't need in that marriage.
Exactly. And, you know, I think, come on, Ashley. Ashley says saved and saved doesn't mean equally yoked.
You're right.
And that's so true.
Absolutely right. That is where I'm at right now, because after my marriage, I vowed to myself. I said, I don't do church dudes. I do men of God. I do men of integrity. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. I don't deal with church dude. No. I need a person that is good, upstanding, has some integrity about themselves. You know, is a hard worker, is kind. Yeah. You know, like that's what I wanted. Not just, he go to church, he know how to quicken, he know how to shout, lift his hands. Right. Nothing's wrong with that. Right. But I need something more. He got to know who he is. Yeah. He got to know who he is. Not need validation from all these different people, but know who he is. Yeah. You know? And like, I have to know who I am. And the more I begin to know me, that's what I started attracting to me. Yeah. And when you all jacked up all over the place, that's what you want to track.
That's what you're going to track.
Jacked up and all over the place.
Right.
You know? Right.
And
it's no hate towards anybody, because we could be, sometimes we look at, or we think jacked up and all over the place means not being together. No, you could be together financially. You could be together so many different ways outwardly. But when I say sometimes jacked, I'm talking about the mental. Certain things is not where it should be mentally. You know, you're not where you need to be kind of spiritually. Like, it's always room to grow. So I'm not saying people go, oh, no, it don't have to be jacked up in that way. No, you know? Yeah.
I see y'all, a lot of comments in the chat and everything. I love it. If you're enjoying this conversation, share this live, invite more people to get in on this great conversation too. I think that's so key what you're saying in terms of our internal personhood needing to be whole and us needing to have that self-awareness. And I think this is the danger when we push and enforce or teach a rule-based religion instead of a relationship-based relationship. And, you know, as we were talking about what you would impart to young girls or what you would say to them now, you know, I think that that's significant too, that we could parallel being in relationship with God to being in relationship to your crush with your bae. You know, would you want to be texting all day and he don't respond to you? You're going to be hot. You're going to be tight and hot. You call him and he's sending you the voicemail, you're going to be tight. You know what I'm saying? And so that is how God is. God longs to be connected to us, to be close to us. That's
God is number one. God
and
is
so
one.
When he's wanting that time with you, and the only way to know who you are is to get connected to him, the one that made you. And we find in Genesis, when he made everything that he made and stepped back and looked, he said, this is good. It is good. And so that is our first definer. That is our first announcement or endorsement, is that God said we are good. And everything in earth, everything that the enemy sends is trying to come against that truth.
Definitely. And I mean, this week I kept on saying, Lord, like when I text you, you was like, how you doing? How you doing? I was like, I'm trying to slow my mind down, because God just continues to say, pray without ceasing. Just continue to pray, because the enemy is trying to come in and take us off our focus. That's why all this stuff is coming and coming and coming. And God just kept on saying all week, I want you to pray and not being a Jesus zombie, but no, have that attitude of prayer daily. I text my kids in the morning. I'll be like, pray before you leave this morning. Pray. You know, my son he's in Harlem. You know, my kids, they grown. I have my 15-year-old, but I'm always pray. I text my husband. We got to pray, because it's so much stuff coming at us that's taking us off of the focus and what God wants to do in our lives. You know, it just takes us. It just takes that God is the key. That at the end of the day, no matter what, God is the key. Straight up. You know, straight up. Like, and I'm learning that more and more the older I get. That's the head. You know, without God and without that connection and without everything, is just all over the place. Straight up.
At what point were you active in ministry? At what age were you active in ministry?
All my life. All my life. You know, it's so crazy, because I think when I got to, like, all my life, but then when I turned 18 and I moved and started going to my aunt and my uncle's church, Morning Star Full Gospel Assembly, where I still attend today. That's when I became a devotional leader, Sunday school teacher, youth leader, you know, anything, my aunt's adjutant. Like, that's when I became like thrown into ministry and really began to, God began to help me with my speaking. I can speak in front, like, because of Morning Star taught me so much. Literally, Morning Star taught me how I can get in front of anyone and speak, because we were taught the word, and not only that, but we were taught to just go in front of people and just and speak and be confident in it. So I'm so appreciative for that ministry, because it taught me. I grew up in church all my life, but Morning Star really taught me, like real talk, like about ministry and just different things and how to take those things and take them out into real life.
What age was that? What age would you?
18, I got into Morning Star. And when I first got into Morning Star, let me tell you, when I first got into Morning Star, and like my friends from Morning Star are my friends to this day, but when I first got into Morning Star, oh my Lord, they were going into ministry and they were doing like platform speaks and they were like teaching, and I was like, what is going on here? Like, I mean, they were just all like motivated to go to college, and so it was like a different type of like atmosphere. It was like you weren't gonna just sit down and just do nothing, or just be and just not do, you know. So you just just get so involved in everything because that's how the community was. Like we were just involved in, you know, detox and, you know, junior missionaries and ABYPU and, you know, the choir. Like it was just that was life. Straight up. That was like I carried 3 of my babies and was ministry the whole full time. Okay. Big pregnant, you know, that's just what it was.
Let's talk about your marriage, your first marriage. What age and why you felt you needed to get married?
Okay. So I met my first husband when I was 18 years old. And he was a part of the ministry. He was my uncle's adjutant.
Okay.
So I was around him a lot. And he was, 8 years older than me. Eight whole years.
Okay.
Older than me.
1826. Okay.
Yeah, right? So he was 8 whole years older than me. So he was more experienced in life because this wasn't like he wasn't raised a church boy. So he had experiences out there in the world. So, but you know, we got together, and then those things happened because real life happens, and now you want to have sex and you want to do certain things, right? But now you like no. So we would come close, and then you know I'd be at the altar, and you know it was just that thing that happened, right? You know.
Yo.
So then, yeah. I mean, but then the culture of the church was you get married. That's the culture of the church. You get married. There's no long engagements. I know in my church, we weren't engaged long. You get married, you better be starting to... And my engagement was a little bit longer because I was the bishop's niece, and my aunt was not playing the married in 6-month thing. No. Okay. She was not playing with that. So my marriage kind of was prolonged, but after I got engaged.
So did you all do counseling?
Oh, we went through counseling, but a lot of the counseling, remember, it was my uncle counseling me. That's weird. Weird. Let's say weird, everybody. It was weird.
Weird. Okay? Somebody type weird in the chat.
Weird. It was weird because you don't want to be talking about sex with your uncle. That's weird.
Yeah. That could be uncomfortable.
I'm very uncomfortable. So, so we end up getting married. Now we're in ministry. I am the first person in the church, and I was the last person to leave the church. All the time. Fridays, Sundays, because like I said, not only was he the adjutant, but then he was in charge of the cleaning staff. So they left after everybody was done. And so I was at church and I'd be sitting there sleeping, and that was just what it was.
So pause. Time out. Would you say that you had a clear understanding of who you were as a person, your individual self? Did you?
No. Okay. I just found out who I was at 40. So I couldn't.
Please keep it real. Keep it all the way up.
40, I found out. Well, 40, I started researching, or 40, I started searching for who I was, right?
Right.
So at 22, 21.
Who's that girl?
I didn't know. I knew I was a church girl. I knew I knew how to cook. You know, I go cook. If I would do my wifely duties. I would clean. Yeah.
Wear your skirts.
I would wear my skirts. So that I didn't know who I was at all because I had no. First of all, I had not even grieved my mom's death. My mom died when I was 11. I had not even dealt with those things, right?
Tamika, we gotta wind that back. We gotta talk about that and how we gotta talk about that. Okay.
So my mom, she died of cancer when I was 11, right? So I was moved from my first ministry I ever went to. I was moved from that ministry, that culture, and that was what I talk about that church when I first opened up my book, because that was life for me. That was church. That was, that was exposure to everything. So many people have come out of that ministry that's out in the gospel world today. And so that was my first introduction, and that's what I was used to from 2 years old to 11 years old. And then when my mom passed away, immediately I was ripped from that ministry. I was ripped from my mom's house. I was ripped from my brother. I was ripped from my whole entire life and moved into a whole different type of culture and church life.
How did that affect you? How did that affect you as an adolescent?
Me. I was sad all the time, crying all the time. I was mentally depleted, and didn't quite understand how to even verbalize it. I didn't think that I was worth, because when you lose something and so much so young, you start, and I realized this through the years, you start just taking things and be like, okay, I'll settle for this. You start your settle ministry. I'm gonna settle for this. I'm gonna settle for that.
Talk about that.
Settle, I don't deserve this because I got this thing ripped out of me so young. So I don't deserve the love. I don't deserve my mother. I don't deserve to live nicely. I don't deserve to have this. Other people, you just feel in yourself because you don't know how to. You didn't learn how to grieve. You didn't go to counseling. You don't know anything.
You just go to church.
Feel like I don't deserve anything.
Because it's like a self-sabotaging.
Self-sabotaging. I don't deserve. So whatever I get, that's what I deserve. You know? And that's how I live my life. So on the outside, I laugh, I joke, I love to laugh, I love to joke, all that stuff. I always look like I was good. Like my husband always say, you suffer in silence, girl. Like I don't do a whole bunch of complaining. That's because that's what I learned from childhood. You speak when you're spoken to. You don't be a burden on people, because remember, I was living in other people's homes. So I didn't want to be a burden. So I grew up that way. That's how I grew up just life. So even to this day, my husband, he's like, babe, like, you need something, ask for it. You're like, wow. But I'm just very like, no. So it kind of like made me, my wire is different. It's just a little different.
So what I hear you saying is there's still unlearning and evolving that you're doing even at 46.
Even today,
Yeah.
literally today, I'm literally the on time person. I'm on time for everything. Everybody can tell you that. I'm on time. I will get to work early. I'm on time. For this, I'm just being transparent and funny right now. For this live, I am ready. I am dressed. My husband said, baby, what are you doing? Because I'm wired not to have anyone waiting on me. Don't be a burden to anyone. So for everything, it doesn't matter. I'm the first one at a party. I'm the first. It's just that thing that I'm trying to work it out, but that's in me. And my husband, he gonna work it. He gonna be like, he'll just sit there. No, we're not going right now. We're not. No. Because I'm so used to, and because I'll be anxious, or and so that's a scripture I quote to myself: "Be anxious for nothing." But that's something that I have to deal with all the time, Yeah.
So lost your mother at 11. Went living with family members. This family member, that family member you were then immersed in a totally different church culture from what you were raised with, or brought up under.
Yes.
So you're in this culture, these traditions. Anybody speaking to you about your emotional state, about losing your mother, how that was affecting you?
Absolutely not.
Wow.
Literally, this year, I had to do a therapy course called Griefshare. And for anybody who has lost someone, Griefshare is amazing. It's amazing. DM me if you want the information. It is amazing. My mom died 34 years, be 35 years soon. The people that were in the group, they had just lost family members or whomever. And when I say it was 13 weeks of an eye-opening experience, and it allowed me to see why I do half of the things that I do. Because I was not allowed to grieve properly.
Wow.
And it has shaped me because that was a severe loss in my life. And I felt as a child that I was left out alone. So for childhood into adulthood, I was walking alone. And that's literally how I felt.
Even though you were surrounded by people, you were going to church.
Surrounded by so many, it just felt like I have been in this journey by myself for years. That's just how I felt. And not to say that I didn't have people come and love on me. I definitely did. But because that part of me wasn't healed, I would feel it and I would, be in the moment with them, but I just still felt so by myself. Just felt so lonely, you know. But and I'm the most friendly. I'm friendly, you didn't see that part. People don't see that part of me. But if you're really close, like my husband, when I first met him, he was spot on with it. Spot on, like, nah, wait. Like he just, like certain things he could see because he's not from the church world. So certain things he looked at and just saw it because he didn't have those church filters on, right? Those filters of that facade stuff. He had it. And that's what I knew God blessed me with him because I needed someone that didn't have the church filter on.
Okay. So pause. We're going to talk about this, where you're at right now. Just rewind really quick back to 18-year-old you, newly married, doing the church thing. Y'all BBCC Winans of New York. Y'all,
I'm looking without you.
Y'all's doing the thing for the Lord. But, what was that like?
Well, marriage, the first, you took about the marriage, right? Yeah, marriage was, the marriage for the first, because I got pregnant fairly quickly.
I'm sure you did, I'm sure.
Yeah, fairly quickly because, we wasn't doing it. So when we did it, it happened.
Right.
So now we're married and things quickly begin to happen because now there's so much responsibility put on my ex-husband, right? Because now he's a husband, right? But how can you take care of those responsibilities when mentally, emotionally, and spiritually you're broken? So you can dress it all up and make it look churchy. It looks churchy. He had to fly the best suits and this and that, and was doing this ministry and teaching and whatever. But it was a whole lot of doing and a whole lot of nothing going on.
Wow.
Because he wasn't even given those tools. He comes from a dysfunctional kind of background. So he wasn't given the tools. So now me not dealing with what I'm dealing with, he not dealing with what he's dealing with, and now we're supposed to mesh this into God be the glory, have a good marriage. It don't work like that.
It don't work like that.
It don't work like that. And
it don't work like that.
We both was a mess not supposed to be in a marriage. The marriage should have never happened. Thank God for my children, but we were not ready to, we did not work on ourselves yet. And I'll tell anybody, work on you. Work on you. And if you are the person, you've worked on you, and you meet someone that ain't worked on, don't marry potential.
Say that again. Do
not marry potential. He potentially could be, or she could potentially could be. Don't do it. Don't do it because they might not never get up to their potential, or they might, if they don't get themselves together. Because remember, they got to do that. You can't do that. You can't change nobody. You can't make nobody be anything. That's God's work. Yeah. And if they're not open to receive or to do the work, they're never gonna change. They're gonna still be battling whatever demons, doing whatever. So you got to work on you and know and test and see that person working on them. that everything is at the blame game. You and you doing this, and why you like this, and when you, that's signs. Those are red flags. When somebody's always in you and you and you. Be like deuces, because there's something going on with them inside, and you got to know that. Don't want something so bad. Don't want something so bad. Don't want, because it'll be worse when you get married.
So talk to, we're talking to everybody that's on the chat, but what about the young lady who says, but I know that's my husband, I know that's who I'm supposed to marry, you know, I just feel this in my knower, I know this in myself. What would you say to her?
First of all, God's not the author of confusion, and if a lot of confusion is happening, it's not for you. If different red flags, because we know red flags, we know certain things, certain little things, and you say to yourself, yeah, something. If you say to yourself a little bit, something ain't right, but oh, I know he's mine. No. Because we got so many men in the world, and we got so many women in the world. You know, like, don't be so where you gotta have that thing. Because after a while, you grown. You can go do what you want to do, but don't waste time. Don't not live your best life that you could have lived because you so caught up on what you want. That's the time when you feel that strongly. That's the time to get in God so much and say, Lord, begin to show me, Lord. I'm gonna take out time, because what's for you, what God got for you is for you. So that person leaves and goes somewhere else, then that person wasn't for you. But what God has for you and what he created for you and for your purpose and for your journey, for your life, is yours. So if you walk away for a year, if you for 6 months, if you go get yourself together, God is going to show you. And if that person is still there waiting and got themselves together, then you know. Trust and believe. I'm a witness. Not moving to this day, but I got to move a little bit. I got married to my husband on a breakup. We got married on a breakup. Because I had to do what God told me to do. So I'm saying to whoever's saying, this man is for me, this man, if he's for you,
or woman,
if the woman's for you, it's gonna come. You ain't got to force it. God is awesome. He don't need nobody to help him do anything.
Right.
All he needs is for you to be in your place and do what he told you to do. That's all God needs, is for you to be obedient. All he needs is for you to give yourself to him. All he needs is for your mindset to be strong, for your body to be strong, for your emotions to be strong, so you can be led and know. And it will, like somebody said just now, time will reveal all. It will reveal all. You don't have to rush into anything. Like, trust God. And I say this because I went through 10 whole years of heartache, of mental abuse, of emotional abuse, of my ex-husband having a child on me, of drug use, of like just things that I was not prepared for. I was not prepared for it. And had I listened to those small voices inside of me and red flags, because certain things happened before we got married that gave me a red flag, but because I was young and didn't know myself.
Talk about that.
I didn't know me. So I'm thinking, well, you know, this is how things happen. And I wasn't even strong enough to say, oh no, I'm not doing that. You know? And at the time, it wasn't even no low self-esteem or anything, because I wasn't afraid that I could have gotten somebody else, but that's what I wanted. It was like the ideal. Oh, we're both in the church, we're both in ministry, we're both, because that's what was driven in my brain. But we weren't ready. It was too much stuff going on. So don't rush it. If what God has for you is for you, it's gonna happen. Trust me. You don't want to go through that heartbreak and that and those depressing moments and just emotionally depleted and where you get to the point where I got to the point where my hair was falling out. Embarrassment. I went to church. Now, mind you, I had a nice big wedding in the church. You know, everything was, you know, everybody, my friends were there and they were helping and serving, and it was a big thing or whatever. Maybe say 7, we had 2 kids, and then my husband leaves and he starts dealing with somebody else. I don't know. He gets her pregnant. Then they together. Then now he want to come back. I want him to come back, but he brings the baby back. So guess what I do? I take her into my house, y'all. Yeah.
Okay.
I take her into my house, and I loved her, and nobody knew. If you didn't know me, you wouldn't even know, because she looked so much like him. You wouldn't even know that she wasn't mine, because that's how much I loved her.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Yes, what I did was beautiful. I loved on her. She was a child. She had nothing to do with it. But guess what I did? I taught him how to treat me. I reinforced bad behavior. I showed him, whatever you do to me, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to take this. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take this.
Come on, Tamika.
You know?
Yeah.
That's what I taught him.
Yeah.
I didn't teach him how to treat me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just took it because I was a good Christian
wife. Yeah.
I was a ride or die chick.
Got the bad part, right?
That ain't real. That ain't real. That messed me up. That messed me up. And let me tell you something. The reason why I got out of it, my marriage, because one day I was sitting down on my couch. I had my daughter on my lap, and my boys were on the floor playing. And God just like showed me, it was like, you teaching her how a man's supposed to treat her. And you teaching them how they supposed to treat a woman. If they continue to see this is how they gonna treat women, and this is how she gonna allow a man to treat her. The next day, I went and filed for divorce, straight up.
Next day.
Because he had already told me, I can live like this forever.
I bet you can, because you got your cake and you eat it too.
When he said that to me, I can live like this forever. So I'm never gonna get a divorce from you. I said, oh no. Oh, wait a minute.
Wow.
And I had to make that choice, which was hard because I kept on going back and forth, single, not. I would be going to the women's retreats. 1 minute I'm in the singles seminar. The next minute I'm in the marriage seminar. I was a mess. Okay, it was ridiculous. Okay, it was ridiculous.
Wow. So you were at this point. You decide, you know what?
And this is after years of taking this stuff.
Yeah. And you say, you get that vision from the Lord. You decide, you know, this is not going to be what my children see.
This ain't it.
You filed a divorce. Now you're a single woman.
I was single, but my body was married, y'all.
I'm a witness. I'm a witness for the Lord.
I was a whole single, but my body was still like married, right? So I be wanting to do stuff, and that's where. And then you still a Christian woman, so you ain't supposed to be having sex, but your body been having sex, and you know, and that became an issue. That became a situation. That became now a struggle. Okay. You know, it became a big struggle. Okay. And not to say that I was sleeping around with it. No, it wasn't that, because I pride myself. I don't do that. Mm-hmm. But it still was a struggle. It was a struggle. Mm-hmm. And that kind of put me into bad choices. Mm-hmm. Where I was gonna get married again. You gotta read this. Gotta read this book. Okay. Okay. I was gonna get married again, and that was a whole bunch of foolishness, you know, and a whole bunch of lies, and a whole bunch of this, and a whole bunch of that. Get the book, and you can read it. And okay. And you know, and it just was a whole bunch of stuff going on. So and I had to like sit, you know, make choices. And when I turned 40 years old, right? I turned 40.
You were divorced at what age? I
got divorced at like 30, probably like 32, something like that. Okay. 32. Yeah, because I was married about 32. Yeah.
Okay.
So after that, I was now single. I got my first tattoo, trying to be, because he told me, he was like, anybody gonna want you with 3 kids? I was like, watch, So,
wow.
Thank God I have some, I have some pride about myself. I didn't want to be out there like that,
Yeah.
But you do find yourself out there, and now that we have social media, we have dating apps, we have all this stuff going on, and you get lonely, and you just want somebody sometimes just to speak nice. You want a nice word from a guy. You want you want to feel wanted. You want to be held. We women, we're soft creatures. We like that feeling. We like to be loved and to be adored, and we love that. And so that
So you had some desires that come from the Lord, right? That come from God.
Yeah.
He wired us this way. In church your whole life, basically married right out of high school. Now you find yourself divorced. What did that do to your self-esteem, if anything, and how did that affect your relationship with the Lord? I know you said you kind of did some things, but
it made me feel like a failure. I'm not gonna lie. It was very embarrassing for me, and that's why it took so long for me to file for divorce. I felt like a failure. I felt like I was a virgin when I got married, Lord. I did it all your way. I did it the way you wanted me to do it. And
that part.
And it still didn't work. And I gave him chances. I loved on him. I covered him, but it still didn't work. And I felt like a failure. He got married. He got remarried. And and at that point, I got mad. Like, what? And I didn't want him. But I'm over here. I'm the saved one. I'm struggling. And now you go off and get married? Like, you got nerve?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, what? Like, where we do that at?
Yeah.
But I had to admit that to myself. Sometimes we don't want to admit things. And I had to admit that. Like, I was upset. Because what happened to me, and I began to get rage. I after my marriage, I had a lot of rage inside of me, a lot of anger, where I would just pop off. Like, my friends could tell you, I didn't care. Like, I was mean. Like, and I was nicest person, but don't do anything to make me feel like you disrespected me, because you're gonna hear it and you're gonna see it.
Bucking and ready to fight.
Oh, very much so. I would tell you in church, do something. I'd be like, I'll punch you right in church. Yeah, I've had to be pulled out. Yeah, it was bad because I had displaced anger.
Were you angry at God?
I was angry at God, but I was more angry at my ex-husband, because I believed that God could fix it, but he wouldn't allow God to fix it. So I was more like, you've been in these services, you felt the anointing, I couldn't understand, like, you've seen the power of God, you see what he could do, and you won't allow him to do it. Like, I was more, and then I'd be like, Lord, fix his heart, so I was having like a argument with God, my ex-husband, because I was like, God could do anything. Like, why are you giving up? Why did you give up? And
wow.
And that just was really like, really messed me up. Really messed me up. Yeah.
So 32, find yourself single mom. You got 3 children, trying to navigate life now. At what point did you have your Damascus Road experience, so to speak, where God just revealed himself and you accepted what was being revealed and said, okay, Lord?
Okay, so when I turned 40, I remember I was in watch night service, and I said, God, I need some order in my life. I was helping people. I was helping people, doing this, doing that, but I just was not happy. I just wasn't happy, and I was like, Lord, I need some order in my life. Okay, so order didn't happen immediately. kind of like I was broken down. Like I stopped going to church. I stopped like literally like, because I was like, I don't want to, like my aunt and my uncle, they had moved down to Virginia. So I felt left again. Like I felt abandoned again. I just was going through a lot of emotions. And I was like, but right before that, I was in service and I said, God, I need order. But little did I know that the way the order was going to go, and I had to leave from where I was, my church at the time. It's now I'm back there, but I had to leave. I had to really know if I really wanted to live this life. I had to really understand God's word. I had to really see God for who God was. I had to relearn God's word. And I left from there, and then I started going to another church. I wouldn't go all the time, but I was going. And every time I would go into that church, the word I go to Morning Star is more you shouting, you know. And, you know, it's back, you know, he can get me. Where I went was more of a worship church. So I was able to hear more. Right? And my church, they preach the word, but you know what I'm saying, the concept of, you know, the shouting and conscious of just the worshiping. I had to go somewhere to be built back up. Right? And to hear God's word, and to not hear like those judgmental type of, you know, because sometimes preachers preach, oh, you this and you know that. Where I went here and he was like, there's no condemnation, and he was just preaching. I was like, that scripture's in the, like certain things he was preaching. I was like, that's in the word.
Wow.
You know, because I was brought up so much where you can't make a mistake and you can't do this and you can't do that. So I try to do everything perfectly, but I'm not perfect.
Yeah, it was legalistic. It was legalism.
But I lived like I was perfect. You know, I lived like I was perfect. So when I went and I started making all these mistakes and started doing all these things and started fornicating, y'all. I started fornicating, right? I was out of my element. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I started fornicating. I did, because I wasn't perfect. I thought I was perfect, but I wasn't perfect. So, and I started doing that, and God. But when I in the midst of that, I met who's now my husband.
Okay.
Yeah. Completely different from what I've ever known. And I was like, the first time I saw him, I was like, I'm gonna get in some trouble. I knew it. I knew. And I didn't care. Didn't care because I was in this church doing the right thing for so long. I said,
right. We gotta talk about that. What do you do when the rules don't work? The rules, they tell you, if you do this, if you do that, if you do, then this will happen. And you start
doing what you want to do, and it's not. And a lot of times
this is what happens when we don't teach a balanced gospel, when it is about rules and not relationship.
Yes, and not relationship.
This is what happens.
Exactly. And that's what began to happen, because in the midst of me meeting my now husband, who was then my boyfriend, I started going to church more. So now the word is coming to me. Because at the end of the day, my core is I love God and I want to be pleasing in God's sight. That's my core. You know, I'm a worshiper. So when I'm not worshiping, I'm feeling all crazy, because that's what I do. I'm a worshiper. You know, that's me. I'm a prayer warrior. That's who I am.
So did you feel that those two parts of you couldn't coexist? It had to be an either or. It had to be
an either or. I couldn't be living. I'm gonna be totally honest, y'all. We grown and everything, but you can't serve two masters. Straight up. I was told. I'm a transparent. I keep it 100. I would literally be in the bed. We have sex. It's amazing. Then it's over. I'm tortured to death. Like, it's over. I came. I'm coming. I'm telling Lord, don't you come. Like stupid stuff like that.
Hold on, Freckles. Hold on, Lord. Just
you know what I'm saying?
Give me a moment.
That's serious. That's real. You know, I'm a real person who don't know me. I'm very real. I keep it 100, and that was real because I was in this life, and everything that I know, I was doing contrary to everything I know, but it wasn't matching up, and it wasn't who God has called me to be. So every time I would do something that God didn't call me to do, it would be a struggle. And it got to the point where me and my then boyfriend was butting heads. We was butting heads because that's why I say, don't compromise who you are. I didn't have anyone before me to be real like I'm being right now. Right?
Yes.
Had I had somebody be that real in front of me, maybe it would have gave me a blueprint of how to navigate your emotions. You know what I'm saying? And
to navigate your humanity. Sister Helen, you know you wanted Deacon Elroy.
Exactly. And I didn't have anybody. And see, that's been my situation throughout my Christian life. When my ex-husband had the baby, you know, I brought the baby to the church. I was embarrassed, but I did it. And I had so many people come and say, oh my God, this happened to me, but you know, I didn't know how to do it, whatever.
Wow.
So I feel like sometimes God, in my life, God made me the blueprint for other people because I'm going to talk about it. Because at the end of the day, that's where the deliverance comes. That's where the healing comes. And God has called me to be a healer. He's called me to be a healer. He's called me to heal people with my words. He's called me to heal people with the love that I give, you know. And because I've been hurt so much, I don't have a problem with calling and saying I love you. I don't have that, you know, that problem. But I feel like God has put that inside of me because not everybody's going to say those things. Not everybody's going to be real like that. But people need realness. They need transparency because women, we get broken, we get hurt. So many things happen to us, and we don't have anyone to come and say, girl, this happened to me. I was going through this. And be really real and vivid with the language because people need that real language.
Yeah.
That stuff is real. And as I would lay there, and like I said, I'm coming and I'm saying, Lord, don't come. I had to make a decision. And one day I got up and said, God, I can't do this, but I don't even know. And then God started using my husband, my boyfriend. He would be like, yeah, because you know, the church people, they be phony. And I was like, you right. We be phony. I was like, yup, I'm being a hypocrite right now. You right. And he was like, wait a minute. I didn't mean you. I said, no, you talking to me. I said, God is using you to get me in my right place.
Wow.
He's using you. He's showing me like this the one you sitting with. You sitting with him. And I'm gonna speak through him because you can't hear nobody else right now. So I'm gonna show you the real. And that's what God began to do to me. And so after a while, I had to say to him, like, I love you. I don't want you to leave, but I don't want you to cheat. And we've been having sex for a whole 5 years. It wouldn't be right. Yeah, 5. Oh, I missed that point. 5 years. 5 whole years, girl. 5 years. 5. And so you were still going to church every week. I wasn't going to church every week because I'm scared of Jesus, right? So I don't be doing no ministry. Oh no.
Okay.
Don't do ministry.
So you was kind of okay.
So I would go periodically. I would go, go hear the word. But see, if somebody was prophesying that day, I wouldn't go because I ain't want to hear no word. I'd be like, literally, I got no. Because I knew that God loved me so much, and He was going to send somebody. He was going to send somebody to give me a word, But the times I did go in, and He did send somebody to give me a word, it will always be love. Like, God loves you so much. Do you know how much God loves you? Do you know how much we need your ministry? Do you know how much? And after a while, I started feeling like, oh my God, I got to get back in where I got to be because.
But let's talk about how the love of God and the correction of God is synonymous. And people want to separate those two things.
The Bible says,
the
word says, I love those I chastise. You know what I'm saying?
That
love is real.
People want to separate those two things because God has been misrepresented by man. And when you get a prophetic word, oftentimes it is communicated not with the heart or the character of Christ. And so people automatically want to distance themselves, or they want to reject a word of correction when really that is still the love of God, and actually
still the love of God.
His grace applied in your life. I didn't kill you in your mess. I didn't let you die when you hit that blunt. I allowed you to live to get to whatever place you're in, where the word of God could come to you and say, I died for you.
Exactly.
I died for you.
That's what it, and God continued to show love, but gave correction, because at the end of the day, you doing these things, so people want to be wimpy when it comes to correction. Oh, you want to be big and bad and do what you want to do, but then when a little bit of something comes to spank you, you're like, no, stop. You big and bad enough to do it. Be big and bad enough to take it. And I had to own up to it. And that's why when I wrote my book, I owned up to things, because at the end of the day, I wanted to be healed. I wanted to be healed. I want to be set free. I wanted to be delivered. And I didn't want to sit back and not acknowledge what I was doing. Because we want to fake the funk sometimes. Oh, God, don't, we could fornicate, we could do. No. God's still calling for holiness. Holiness is still right. We have circumstances that we do this and we do that, but it doesn't make it right, So own up to it. That's things that people that's in the world, they look at us sometimes like we're phony, because we preach against so much other things, but we're doing that very thing and then try to justify it. Yes. You can't justify it. Stop justifying it.
So we got about 13 more minutes in the chat tonight. Really quickly, to a young lady who's watching right now, or even a young man who is single, who is trying to maintain their purity, and trying to do what's right. What would you say to them if they're struggling in their flesh, struggling with needing or wanting companionship, struggling with that part of their nature?
I would say, don't put yourself, this is just real talk, don't put yourself in those situations. Don't be talking about me and her going home, me and him going home, we gonna watch Netflix. You lying. Because his tongue gonna be everywhere, and you gonna be like, it's gonna happen. Because that's the nature. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So don't put yourself in those situations. While you going through this motion and you don't have no prospects, or you're not asking nobody to marry, whatever, you're going through those things, learn you. Get to know you. Be you. Live your best life. Go get a hobby. Go read a book.
Travel.
I'm serious.
I
wish somebody would have told me this. Like, get to know who you are.
Lala said macaroni. What?
True. Like, get to know who you are. When it's time for that process, God is going to do it, and he's going to do it in an authentic way, and it's going to happen. It ain't going to be a long process.
Please,
it's
Lord.
not, it's not going to be. But don't stop putting yourself in those situations and go, oh, Lord, make me strong. Fool, if you don't leave out that house,
get out of there. Right. Okay, really quick, two minutes. What would you say to a woman on the chat, a man on the chat who's married, whose sex life is like, they just not meeting right now. They not. It's no communion. It's no sweet communion.
No sweet
in communion. The marriage bed.
You gotta. Okay. See, married people don't like to talk, right? They don't like to communicate. They like to blame. No, it takes two. So you gotta communicate. You gotta check in. If you're not here, something ain't go. You gotta check in. Be like, hey, we cool. What's going on? You gotta talk about those things. Talk about all those uncomfortable situations. Talk about them. If somebody's having problems and they can't get it up, talk about them. Don't be mean or to avoid.
Yeah.
Don't be mean to avoid.
Yeah.
If you're going through menopause and things are not communicate. Maybe I'm going through this and this ain't getting wet the way it need to get. You know what I'm saying?
No macaroni.
Y'all married. You married. You want to stay married? Yes, I'm from New York. I'm from New York. I know. I'm here. I know. I'm from New York. If you want to stay married and you know this is what you want to do, work at it. It's work. Go on a date. Get cute for your husband. Get cute for your wife. Date.
Come on.
Date. Because when you start doing those things that you did when you were dating, it's gonna put you and make you want to be sexy. But if you always going at each other and and it's always a blame game of that, and even in your marriage, get you together. Get you together. Get your mind, your body, your spirit together. Don't get married. I don't know what this is, but this may be for somebody. I don't know why people get married and they start looking a mess.
Looking poor.
They start looking a mess. No. My aunt used to always tell me, the words of Mother Harris. She used to always tell me, when your husband come home, make sure your hair is done. Make sure your house is clean. If you cooking, make sure your food's on the table. Don't come in there nagging him, because he's passing women coming in, women all day, like, and then he come home to you and you look like
it's the truth
crazy.
Anyhow. It's the truth anyhow.
And even men, don't take your wives for granted. Give her a compliment. Make her feel sexy. If you want her to lose weight, come work out with her. Don't be talking about, I want you to lose weight, and then you bring her ice cream. Don't do that.
Don't bring.
You know what I'm saying? Encourage her.
We like ice cream. It's like,
No. What I'm saying,
I know what you're saying.
Men, they'll be like, oh, right, I want you to look a certain way, but then they'll bring you to everything they know you love. You be like, what? So encourage. It's not what you say, but it's how you say it. Love, and all that we do it in love, and all that we do. Love, pay attention to one another. Like, just love on each other. Love on each other. Be each other's best friends. I tell my husband all the time, he laughs all the time. I be like, you my bestest friend. Because my marriage, this is my second time around, which feels like my first time around, but my marriage is I feel like it's God's loving kindness towards me. That's how I can express it.
That's beautiful.
It feels like God's loving kindness towards me. It really does.
So last 8 minutes, you pick up right there where, God is, you made a decision, you're with him, you all were compromising. You said, hey, can't do this no more. Did you break up with your husband?
Yep, we broke up. We was together. Okay. We was not together. And but the love was still there. We still love each other. And I just started praying. And saying, God, if it's truly what it's supposed to be, and this is what you ordained, Lord, make it happen. In the same token, he had guys come to him and talk to him about marriage and just different things, that he was like, whoa, like, she is the one for me. And I loved him, but I said, Lord, if I'm gonna walk away, but if it's from me, you're gonna give it to me. You're gonna give him to me if he's from me. And that's what happened. He called me up and we started talking about things. But let me tell you one thing I had to do. I had to apologize to him, because I was the woman of God. I was the woman of God, right? And he ain't know nothing about no God, church, nothing. And I had to repent to God and apologize to him, because I could have compromised everything, because it's about souls and salvation. And I had to apologize to him. And one of the gentlemen that he was talking to told him, when you guys talk, she has to come and apologize to you. And I didn't know that. And God had dropped it in my spirit to apologize. So when I apologized to him, he looked at me all kinds of crazy, like, what? And so, but when God is doing something, and when God ordains it, that's how God does it. And he told me, he said, well, baby, I want to get married. And I'm talking about, like, now, I want to get married. Like, and I was like, you want to get married? He was like, yeah, like before August, I want to get married. And we did it. I called my pastor. And
this is why y'all were still broke up, though. Y'all were just.
I called my pastor, and he said, let y'all come here. I don't do this. He said, I don't do this here. Like, this is, And we came in and we had a hours like talk. We had like a crash course, counseling, everything. And after that moment, he was like, "This is ordained by God." And that next Friday, we was married.
Y'all got married. So talk to us, 5 minutes. Talk to us about your book, where we can purchase it, where we can find it, and what you're doing right now in ministry or just otherwise.
So right now, this is my book, The Real Life of a Church Girl, The Untold Story. If you follow me and DM me, I will, I will send you, because you can get it on, y'all know I keep it real, right? You can get it on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles and every book outlet out there, but they're third parties. I'm the first party. So I like for you to come to the first party and get it from me. Thank you.
Right. So she can get the monies.
Yes, you know. So if you DM me on and follow me on The Real Life of a Church Girl, and DM me your name and your email address, I will send you a payment link, and you can pay through there, and I will have the book to you by this week. Wonderful. It's $12.99. It's $12.99, and it just talks about my life as a church girl growing up. It talks about my ups, my downs, my hurts, and just how God it just talks about everything, and it's real. So you thought I was transparent. You open that, it's real transparent. Tell all my business, and but it's all love. It's all love.
So what's your last bit of advice that you would give to the people that are on the live now about their purpose, walking in purpose, and just not being discouraged, I guess, in that walk?
Yeah, just right now I'm life coaching. I'm a certified life coach, and I'm life coaching, and it's all about just getting your mind, your body, and your spirit together. Wellness, you get that mental together, and just love on you, and just know that even if it's not the way you want it to be at this moment, God got you, and He has an order, and He has a plan, and He has a process. So if you get into what He get to know who He is, and get in Him, He will strengthen you, and everything is going to work out. So be encouraged. You are so worth it. 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 Don't ever think that you're not worth it. I don't care who tells you or who always told you wasn't worth it, or you didn't mean this or you didn't mean that. Know that you are so worth it. And if that thing didn't work out, this thing is going to work out. And if this thing don't work out, something else is going to work out. God got you. He got you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being my guest tonight, my first guest for Just Married Mondays series. Thanks to everybody that joined.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, again, you can follow her at The Real Life of a Church Girl. And again, you can reach out there and pick up her book. You can also follow me.
Support.
Elle Harris. And also have a business page, unearth.llc. So this has been wonderful. I appreciate your transparency. Definitely appreciate your story. Thank you again to everybody that participated. And I, am gonna do more of these, different topics, maybe even the same topic. I know that there's so much that we as women carry by way of giftings and purpose. And sometimes who we are or our sense of self gets drowned or lost in what we are doing for other people. Our being or our doing gets in the way of our being. And so I want to have lots more conversations about that, just to empower women, and just to speak encouragement, speak life, and be a community. Yes. Where we can have.
Lisa, somebody said, "Are you going to rebroadcast this?"
Yep. I can rebroadcast it on my page, and I think you probably can too, since we're sharing together.
I don't know how you do that.
Kind of a novice with the go live, but But yeah, but thank you to everybody that came on and stayed. I hope it was fun. I hope y'all, heard something that helped y'all tonight. And I'll be back really soon with another one. So until then, y'all, good night.
Bless y'all.